Yeah, so just walk us through what it feels like when someone reconnects with their body. Could be you,
Yes.
could be someone that you've worked with, maybe for the first time in years, maybe ever has somebody connected with their body in a meaningful way through somatic or embodiment practices.
Sure, yeah. I've had a couple clients where we're maybe like when I was still doing one-on-one coaching more so, and we would be like maybe a month into our program together, and we've talked about a lot of stuff. And I tend to attract clients that have similar natures or struggles to what I've been through, and I was working with a few clients who are very much women in their heads. They're telling me and kind of talking to the surface level of everything they're experiencing and going through. And there comes a point where I ask them to, like, this is, the short story. I've asked them to pause and really breathe into it. Don't tell me from your mouth and your head. Like, I want you to actually feel what you're talking about. And as you share it to me, like, I want you to be in that first and foremost, and then let me witness, and then you can share that with me. And that is really when the waterworks come, in my experience, because it's a big difference of talking about something versus feeling it. And what I notice, and I don't think this is true as a blanket statement, but when someone finally comes into their body for the first time, I believe a common experience is having two things happen at once. One is a great deal of discomfort comes up as they are feeling into the things that they have subconsciously or consciously pushed aside, avoided, repackaged, or whatever, and they are finally feeling it in their body for the first time. Grief, shame, anger, trauma, whatever it is, and it feels like, ugh. And also, it's finally getting the space to not be trying to explode, and it finally gets to explode. So there's like the discomfort from the explosion, but also the relief from the explosion is what I'm getting at. When someone finally comes into their body that they haven't been in for a while, it's, oh my God, this explosion is so intense and abrupt and overwhelming. And wow, the space that it has created, the softness it has created with me now that I'm not fighting against it, is so liberating. So that's something I see a lot.
Okay, I think I've had similar experiences, and maybe I'm talking about something totally different. You can kind of correct me after I tell you this. I have a difficult time crying. It's hard for me to cry. I've bottled up a lot of emotions for a lot of years, some traumatic childhood experiences. It's difficult for me to cry. Sure. It takes a lot, like way more than it should. And usually when it does spill over, it's like ugly crying. It's just like, but I've had very interesting experiences when I do cry in the past, because when I do cry, I feel so good. Like I'm almost like happy that I'm crying. It's like weird. It's like this release of emotion.
The release valve.
Yeah. It's like, thank God. Like I've been holding this all in for so long, not on purpose, but just because that's just how it is. And it's like, so I don't know if that's similar to what you're talking about.
Absolutely. That's absolutely in the same vein. It's for whatever reason, whether it's a protective mechanism or not, this has been bottled up because I didn't feel safe to feel it, or I just wanted to avoid it. It's like it's building trust in our nervous system. If I don't think that I have the capacity to feel what I would have to feel if I turned towards this, and when it finally comes out, and it's usually not as bad as we think it's going to be. And I don't want to dismiss the things that like are truly very terrible, but often the pain and suffering that we experience from putting something off is greater and longer than what we would have to feel. It might actually be more painful to feel it when we do, but it's shorter, right? There's the common study that like an emotion on average only lasts about 90 seconds in the body. And it's the stories and the narrative that we go through following that actually prolongs the experience. So if we can build our capacity, our tolerance to open up to a feeling in our body and breathe through it for a couple minutes, it usually really subsides and gets to alchemize, as long as we're not like rippling, repeating in our head through those storylines. So yeah, and I want to say you're not alone. I know a handful of people who really, really struggle to cry, and I don't know what it is for you. Again, it can be very wise intelligence inside your body trying to be protective, and it also could be programming as a man that sunk in, that said, I can't do that. It's weak, and that's its own problem and can of worms. So I'm glad it feels good when you get to have the release.
Yeah, for me, it's more of a protective mechanism than it is like, I don't I'm not like in that toxic masculinity kind of
That's great news.
thing where I'm just like, oh, I can't show emotion. It's just like, it was a protective mechanism from childhood trauma where like I didn't allow myself to feel anything because it was the best way to operate. You know, I had
dissociation is a protective mechanism for our nervous system.
I was like, well, I can't function feeling this kind of stuff, so I'm just going to shove it all down over here because I need to function. But it's still there. And it's still eating away at me, but it's like eventually it's going to like build up enough that the floodgate kind of boils over. So
I think we just need to cry more collectively.
Yeah.
I think we need to cry more. I had a really powerful experience maybe like 4 years ago, I'd say. I was in Joshua Tree actually, and I had taken a larger dose of psilocybin, and like I've been recreational with drugs for a longer time than I care to admit, but I was newer to actually doing it quite intentionally. And I was with a few of my best friends for my birthday, and at that time of my life I was in like the peak of my dysregulation and my unhealthy yang energy of just burnout, overdrive. I had a terrible eating disorder, working out too much, overworking, and I never ever stopped, and it was the worst I had been. And thanks to the medicine, when I was laying on this beanbag chair with my two best friends, they're a couple, and I was just laying with them, and it's the first time I like stopped moving, and it felt like years, and I just like silently, tears streamed down my face for like over an hour, and it was so relieving. Coming back to the question of like, what's it like when someone comes back into their body the first time, like that, it's, oh my gosh, I have been clenching and holding so much in and kept myself moving so I wouldn't have to feel something. And I didn't have like some big memory that made me cry. It was just, oh, how much we can relax and soften, and how important it is to feel safety and stillness in our body. Our body craves that. Our nervous system needs that. And that really catapulted my passion for microdosing and psilocybin as a medicine. I worked for a couple different microdosing companies after that, doing integration coaching and creating programs for like mindfulness and all that, because you know, I'd like to think we can all do that on our own. And for some of us who have such ingrained habits of dissociation or different coping strategies, medicine like that I personally don't know to have super negative side effects versus other things.
Pharmaceuticals.
Exactly. Which I've done and definitely had bad side effects. You know, I had the Zoloft thing back then, and I was like, I'd rather build my capacity to feel feelings like this because I needed this. I mean, I can still feel and visualize that exact moment of a pivotal time in my life where I was like, this is the energy I need more of. I think that was before I knew, like, oh, I need more feminine energy. Now that I think about it, that was that moment of, I need more softness. I need more slow. I need more safety. And like, I can give that to myself. And thankfully, psilocybin, you know, helps with our neuroplasticity. It helps us actually create changes in our thoughts and our habits. Some of the things that I had been trying to shift in terms of the way I move through things quickly for years, I hadn't gained traction on. Once I started microdosing and, you know, setting my daily intentions in my journal of what I wanted to be doing differently. And I'd been doing that for ages. But once I started microdosing, I actually was able to find those changes where I'd be in the moment. I'd have that pause between the stimulus and the response. And I was like, I really want to be texting and driving. I really want to rush through this. And oh my God, I can't believe I'm actually grasping that moment where I can choose differently versus before I was never able to slice that and get in there and choose differently. So big advocate for that.
Well, that sounds very powerful for one.
Yeah.
And it sounds very kind of eye-opening for you. Sounds like you're a lot more aware of that now in a way that you weren't before that specific moment in time. Would you say
Absolutely.
That's true?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. And I think that's why I'm able to answer questions like you asked before, like, oh, do you reflect often? It's like, yeah, I do, because I notice when I am not in the better behaviors or making those positive shifts, because thanks to microdosing, I have felt in my body when I'm in that trajectory of making positive change. And when I say I'm going to do something and then I don't do it, the contrast is quite striking, you know?
Okay. Is that something that you do regularly, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, I don't mind sharing. I've gone through phases with it. 2 years ago, I had a really, really regular practice. Last year, I went through a few months here and there where I had a really regular regimen with it, and I am just now starting back up my regular regimen with it. I think it's challenging for me. I'm quite sensitive to this stuff sometimes, and as a yoga professional, like I don't microdose and go to class. I know some people can be in their profession while on a microdose. I mean, it's supposed to be sub-perceptual is the definition of microdose. You shouldn't be able to feel it. And I also believe that microdosing highlights what you need most. And because what I need most of isn't more productivity and focus, like is more softness, like I'm just getting sleepy. And like I like am invited into more soft and like go lay in nature or journal and stuff. So me doing that and going to work is like just a no-no for professional reasons and for what feels like I need in my body. So that made it a little bit challenging to be regular with my dosage because I had to work around my work schedule. And now I have a little bit more of a flexible schedule that I'm able to do it on the days or hours that I'm not going to be teaching. And that feels really supportive.